somewhere over, near 4,000 different hailstones that we've tested. And to guide how we did the lab work that we just talked about. We needed that guide to be able to give us that information. Now we've switched.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Scotty Powell here with the Carolina Weather Group. Hope you are having a great Thursday afternoon. It's about 3:30 here. Lots of weather developing over the Carolinas. It's been a very stormy period over the last week or so, and we are continuing that theme today. A lot of things to be talking about, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and kind of give you an update about what is taking place. We are watching the potential for some waterspouts to come ashore along the North Carolina coast. In fact, I'm zoomed here near the Emerald Isle, Morehead City area, watching this cell. A little bit earlier, was showing some signs of rotation, and in fact, a tornado warning was issued a little while ago for another cell that's already come across land and has quickly dissipated. But again, we are monitoring these cells that are coming off of the Atlantic Ocean into the North Carolina coast. You can kind of see it's a very wet day across the North Carolina coast. Lots of bands of heavy rain and some embedded thunderstorms. We do have this one flash flood warning out for the, Jones, Lenoir, Onslow, and Duplin County in eastern North Carolina. This goes in for another 30 minutes or so, where this area has received anywhere between 3 to 5 inches, with an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain expected over the next few hours. So again, flash flooding taking place in eastern North Carolina. We're going to go ahead and continue to travel across the state. Let's go into the Raleigh-Durham area, at least for the radar. And you can see isolated thunderstorms continue to move through the central part of North Carolina and even into the eastern Piedmont areas of North Carolina, where we have another flash flood warning that is in place for Anson, Montgomery, Richmond, and Stanley County. Again, these warnings go until 4:30. Lots of heavy rain has fallen in this area and has produced some flash flooding. In fact, let's go over to the rainfall 3-hour rainfall totals. It'll take just a minute for this to populate, and we can kind of see what has fallen over the last few hours to really kick off these flash flood warnings. Maybe. Let's see if we can get this to populate. Here we go. So it's taking just a little bit to get the data to populate in. So as you can see, there's a stripe of rain that's actually from Chesterfield County, South Carolina, up through Anson into Stanley, Montgomery, even in portions of Cabarrus County, Union County, where we've seen anywhere between 2 to 3, 4 inches of rainfall over the last 3 hours. And if we go back to the stormfall total, this will take into account everything that's fallen over the last several days. You can definitely see some 5-6 inch total rainfall totals. In fact, here's about 6 inches of rain near the Wadesboro, Peachland, Polkton area in Anson County. This continues north into the Mount Gilead, Norwood, Albemarle area in Stanley County, where again a good 4 to 6 inches of rain has fallen. So you can kind of see this band of heavy rain that's set up where this flash flood warning has been issued. So lots of flash flooding. In fact, I can read off some of the flash flooding reports that we've seen in that area. Let me go over here to the NWS chat, where we've seen some storm reports for flash flooding in this area. Again, Anson County Emergency Manager reporting Highway 218 near Fanny Helms Road has been completely washed away due to the heavy rain that has fallen in that area. So again, flash flooding taking place in Anson County. That's why we ask you when you go into when you're traveling in these flooded roadways to never travel through a flooded roadway, because we don't know if these roads are still intact. And according to the Emergency Management Department there in Anson County, just outside of Peachland, Highway 218 near Fanny Helms Road has been completely washed away. So lots of flash flooding taking place in that area of North Carolina. we'll travel over to western North Carolina, where we have definitely some heavy rainfall. We're going to populate these rainfall totals, and then we'll kind of look at what's going on radar-wise as we continue to monitor the flooding that's taken place here in western North Carolina. You can kind of see this strip of heavy rain, and you can kind of, it looks like when we talk about severe weather, we call these rotational or helicity tracks. Well, you can kind of see where the training of this heavy rain is set up between Anderson County, South Carolina, into Greenville County, South Carolina, then up into Polk, Rutherford, McDowell, Burke, Caldwell, and then Watauga and Avery counties here in North Carolina. So if you live in the Charlotte area, Gaston County, Cleveland County, Lincoln County, up into Iredell, you can see lesser totals, but you have a big bullseye to the east of Charlotte and a big bullseye to the west of Hickory, up in the foothills and the mountains. So the in between there in the western Piedmont has not seen as much rain as the folks to the east of Charlotte and up into the foothills and western portions of the mountains of North Carolina. Again, we look at the rainfall totals, anywhere between 6 to 8 inches of rain has fallen in the foothills. In fact, here at my house, I just checked just a little bit ago, we're a little bit over 6 inches, about 6.10 inches of rainfall over the last 4 days here in Byrd County near Morganton. So again, a lot of rainfall in this area, and some flash flooding as well has taken place. Thankfully, we'll turn off this radar, or turn off the rainfall estimates, and look at current radar. You can see we actually do have, besides just a few isolated showers, we don't have really any heavy rain that is set up over western North Carolina, which is a good thing as some of these streams and creeks continue to recede. Let's go down to South Carolina. We'll go over here towards the Grand Strand area, Georgetown, Berkeley County, into Williamsburg County. We are monitoring some, well, the radar is froze here for just a minute, so we'll allow that to kind of catch up. But we are seeing some strong thunderstorms that is taking place right now near the coastal area, the Sandhills of South Carolina. And again, no severe thunderstorm warnings right now, but we do have some pretty strong storms out there. So we'll zoom in here at the radar, and you can kind of see, we'll start down here in Berkeley County near Mox Corner and Jamestown. We have a cell. We have a pretty strong cell in Andrews, up towards Johnsonville and Lake City here in South Carolina. In fact, this may go severe warned, as we're starting to see some hail show up in these storms. So that shows us that they are strengthening here in the Williamsburg County and down towards Florence. If you are monitoring the Darlington area for the Xfinity Series race that's supposed to be taking place, was supposed to start at 12 o'clock today in Darlington. Last I heard, the push back to 4 p.m. for the start for the Xfinity Series race. So if you are a NASCAR fan and looking for the Xfinity Series race, be tuned into TV around 4 o'clock, as the race should start there in Darlington. Looking through Twitter, the track is starting to dry. So hopefully that race will be able to take place in the next hour or so. So if you're looking for that, just be mindful it may be just a little bit longer before the race starts, but it should be able to get underway there in Darlington, South Carolina. And so finally, we will travel back up here to eastern North Carolina, kind of where we started at. And we're going to continue to watch this cell that is moving closer to Onslow County, near the Emerald Isle, Moorhead City area of Carteret County. Given the radar time here, just to kind of get into place here. So these supercells that are kind of out over the ocean, they are starting to move ashore. In fact, we had one tornado warning earlier. Now we have this thunderstorm that's going to be moving in towards the Swansboro and Emerald Isle portions of eastern North Carolina. So again, another day of some heavy rain and some thunderstorms out there. The main band of heavy rain right now has been set up over eastern North Carolina and central North Carolina. Again, lots of reports of flash flooding taking place in Anson, Union, over towards Richmond and Montgomery counties. So we will continue to monitor those reports out of that area as we get them for the flash flooding. Do want to check one more thing here. Let me look here off of our internal chat with the National Weather Service. Was looking at the Moorhead City office to see if they were talking any more about that sale, but I do not see anything. So that is good. Good news for that. And over towards the GSP area, which covers Western North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina. Last word out of that area is the National Weather Service does not plan on extending that flash flood watch past the 8 o'clock time frame. So hopefully, if all goes well, that flash flood watch will be able to expire at 8 p.m. tonight here in Western North Carolina. So that's kind of a brief look at what's taking place right now over the Carolinas. It has been a very busy week here in the Weather Center. Just all kinds of flash flooding reports, some trees down just because of some wind. We have had a few severe thunderstorm warnings and even a tornado warning earlier in the eastern part of North Carolina. But no, yesterday we did have a potential tornado that took place near Johns Island in the Charleston area. Do know at the Weather Service is going to send out a damage survey team to that spot today. I have not heard back if they have found any evidence of a confirmed tornado. Let me check in with that, see what the update is. I don't see an update, so we will continue to monitor that office and let you know if there was a confirmed tornado from that storm that occurred near the Charleston area yesterday. So once we get word, we will definitely let you know. But that's what's going on right now here in the Carolinas. We still have that band of heavy rain. Let me share the radar one more time. And you can kind of see this band of heavy rain that is set up over eastern North Carolina, especially near the Outer Banks, over towards the northern Outer Banks and central Outer Banks. And then we have another area of rainfall in the southern North Carolina Piedmont towards Laurinburg, Lumberton, and Fayetteville. So some stronger thunderstorms taking place there. I do want to switch radar products one more time, kind of just let you look at some of the current advisories that are taking place. I just heard a buzz in my ear, so we may have a tornado warning. So we do have a tornado warning now. This is going to be for Cumberland, Harnett, Hoke, and Moore County until 4:15. So we do have a tornado warning that has just been issued from the National Weather Service in Raleigh. So let me share the screen right quick. I'll kind of let you in and see what's going on. Here is the potential tornado warning. This is going to be for places near Rayford, over towards Bonnie Doon and Spring Lake. So this is going to be the tornado warning that has just been issued. This is going to be for until 4:30. Sorry, I'm trying to get the warning to pull up here, and I can't get it to pull up. There it is. This tornado is for tornado warning for central Moore County, southwestern Harnett, northwestern Cumberland, and northeastern Hoke County, again until 4:15. So I misspoke there. This warning goes until 4:15. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Rayford, moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. So a pretty slow moving storm here. We'll look into the velocities here in just a minute to kind of show you what is going on with this. But again, a tornado warning now issued for portions of central North Carolina until 4:15. And again, this is going to include some of the communities near Rockfish. We also have, Bonnie Doon and Spring Lake. So we can kind of go into this. Let's go to a 2-panel here. Let's get our velocities up, and it's going to be kind of messy because we're not in the best, again, I feel like I say this all the time, we're not in the best spot for radar coverage, but it's kind of messy here. So if you live anywhere near Yadkin Road, we have All-American Expressway, State Highway 24, as well as State Highway 87. That is where those areas. In fact, let's get to the Raleigh radar. That would give us a better idea. And so here's our rotation. It's going to be right here. This is going to be crossing US 401. So again, US 401. If you are in that area, you need to be seeking shelter right now in the lowest level of your homes, away from windows, and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This storm is going to pass just to the northwest of Fayetteville. So if you live north of Fayetteville, the metropolitan area of Fayetteville, maybe in the suburbs near Bonnie Doon, you want to be in your safe place. Spring Lake, you want to be in your safe place as this sail slowly moves to the northeast at around 15 miles per hour. Again, the potential for a tornado in this cell. So what I'm going to do right quick, let me stop sharing that screen. I want to pull up this second screen because it's a little bit more easier to kind of see. I like the visuals about it. So I'm working here to get this new one up. So give me just a moment as I do that. So again, make sure that's shared. So hopefully you guys can see what I am seeing. Okay, so here again, just a better visual. I like the graphics here. Let's go into the rotation here. You can kind of see where the rotation's at. This is just going to be north of Rockfish. So if you live there north of Rockfish, you want to be in your storm safe place. So again, Rockfish, if you live near those highways near, let's see, this is going to be US 401. And if you're traveling up 401 towards the Spring Lake area, that's where you want to be. So this tornado warning is going to be just north of Rockfish, just outside of Rayford. So again, if you are traveling on Highway 401, you need to be in your safe place. This is going to be crossing over near Spring Lake in the next 10 minutes or so. So if you do live in Spring Lake, you need to be in your safe place as the storm continues to move into your area. That's the lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This is going to be a slow moving storm, but again, you need to be in your safe place. So if you are in Spring Lake, go ahead and get there. Even though it's slow moving, it's definitely the place you want to be because these storms can tend to speed up pretty quickly. So again, Rockfish and Bonnie Doon and Spring Lake, those are the three communities that need to be in their safe place. Again, if you live along 401, this is going to be in your area. So this is also going to be Fayetteville Road over towards the county line near Amish Drive. Those areas you definitely need to be in your safe place. Let's look at the velocities, and you can kind of see this couplet right here that is developing just outside of Rayford. So this couplet is indicative of some rotating within this storm. And so this rotation here, pretty pronounced with this radar, is going to be right along Highway 401. So again, if you live in 401 near Rayford and Rockfish, you need to be in your safe place because this storm is going to be moving very, very slowly off to the northeast. So again, that's North Parker Road. Trying to look at the map here to kind of give you some roads if you live in this area. Oak Ridge Drive, Invery Drive, Clan Campbell Drive, as well as Plank Road. So some of those locations under the gun for the rotation as the storm moves off. Looking over here at the weather chat, nothing coming in yet. So that's no damage reports or anything from any spotters out in the field. Let's go over here to the correlation coefficient. You can maybe see a little bit of a lowering there, but not too much. So that's a good sign. But again, here is our couplet here, this rotation. Kind of see this lightning that tells us the storm's intensified. Also kind of see this hell core popping up. Those are all signs that this supercell could be producing a tornado. So again, it's going to be crossing the line here into the Cumberland County area, just outside of Fayetteville. So if you live in that area, just north of Rockfish, you definitely need to be in your storm shelter right now. This is going to be crossing over into Cumberland County over the next few minutes. You can really see this lightning beginning to really take off. That again is showing us the signs of a developing storm that is moving into this area. So again, this potential tornado warning going to be moving into Cumberland County soon, just north of Cumberland. But if you live in the Bonnie Doon area, Spring Lake, you definitely need to be in your storm shelters as this storm continues to move off. So again, if you live some of the more Yellow Brick Road over towards Lokesy Drive, Oakstone Drive, Rayford Road, Highway 401, Business 401, those areas, Brandstone Way, as well as Pebblebrook Drives, just some of the locations that are in the path of this rotation. So again, this tornado warning goes until 4:15. So another 20 minutes or so as the storm is getting ready to move out of Hoke County into Cumberland County. So again, if you live in the Bonnie Dunes and Spring Lake area, you need to be in your safe place right now. Again, where is that? It's the lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to put some sort of helmet or some kind of protection on your head. It's always a good idea to have some goggles or glasses, something like that, to keep flying debris out of your eyes, and definitely some sturdy shoes. So if there was to be any damage or debris and you had to walk outside, you would have some shoes on that would prevent your feet from getting cut or anything like that. Again, also a heavy mattress or a pillow, something over your head is a good idea. Lowest level or the most interior part of your home, maybe a hallway, a closet. Bathrooms are normally safe as long as there's no windows in there. Just some ideas of where to go as this rotation, a little bit weaker now, but continues to move near the Bonnie Doon into Spring Lake area. So again, let's pull up a rotation tracker. You can kind of see it's moving over some rural area, but again, don't let that be shocked. Again, if you live near Glenbrook Drive, Pebblebrook Drive, over towards Sunnycrest Drive, those areas right there, that's where you need to be in your safe place as this tornado warning continues. This is the continuation of this tornado warning. Reading the latest update from the Weather Service, they've kind of narrowed the warning up. So Rayford, you're no longer in the warning. Tornado remains in effect till 4:15 for northwestern Cumberland, central Moore, southwestern Harnett, and northeastern Hoke County. This severe thunderstorm produced a tornado located near Rayford, moving north. So now it's moving north at 10 miles per hour, so slowing down even more. This dangerous storm will be near Fort Bragg. So Fort Bragg, a big military outfit there in the Fayetteville area by 4:15. So if you live in near Fort Bragg, I'm sure the warning's already going off in that area. You definitely need to be in your safe place as this dangerous storm continues to move north around 10 miles per hour. So again, other locations that could be impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Spring Lake. So again, Spring Lake and Fort Bragg, you need to be in your safe place. So we're going to continue to monitor this sail. Let's get back over to the velocities. Let's look at our couplet. Here we go. That's where we're seeing the storm, and it's moving off to the north. So again, Bonnie Doon, this new warning does not include you. So they've kind of narrowed it down. This is the new warning. You can kind of see highlighted by this bold red line. So Bonnie Doon, you are not in that warning, but Spring Lake, you are, as is Fort Bragg. So those are the two locations you need to be. If you are in these areas, you definitely need to be in shelter away from any windows, most central part of your home. Looking through our weather chat again, no damage being reported out of that area, but we will continue to monitor this severe thunderstorm as it continues to move in. We do have some new reports of flash flooding ongoing in Onslow County, intersection of Taylor Road, Highway 258 near Ridgelands. Water covering the roadway, and portions of that road are now impassable as this system continues to move slowly through North Carolina. So producing a tornado warning now for the Spring Lake area. This is just going to be north of Rockfish. So Rockfish, Rayford, and Bonnie Doon no longer in this tornado warning, but this still includes Spring Lake as well as Fort Bragg. So those locations definitely need to be in your storm shelter. This is a very rural part of the county, but again, still people live out there. So if you live near, trying to get down to the street level, Morganton Road. If you live near, Morganton Road, we have Broad Road, Board Road, Chicken Road. These are more farm areas out in this portion of Hoke County. Again, those locations definitely need to be in your safe place. McKellar's Road, also a location to be monitoring the storm, as well as Lamont Road, and then Gruber Road as well. So just some of the locations, but again, out in Hoke, this is for Hoke and Cumberland County. Still continue to see this lightning jump right here. That tells us the storm is continuing to intensify as it moves off to the north. I would say north-northeast, around 10 miles per hour. Let's put on our rotation tracker here. We'll kind of see what's going on with that. You can still see the rotation developing just north of 401. Again, this is a lot of farm area, a lot of rural area between the northern part of Hoke County where it intersects Cumberland County. So again, this location under the gun for a potential tornado warning. This tornado warning continues for another 20 minutes or so. And again, Fort Bragg, this storm is expected to be near Fort Bragg around 4:15. So Fort Bragg, a pretty well-known facility, known throughout the country, but especially here in North Carolina, we know a lot of service members there, a lot of families there that live near the Fort Bragg area. So you definitely need to be in your storm shelter. And if you know anyone in that area, just give them a call, a text, let them know, say, hey, you haven't already heard, there's some pretty severe weather moving your way. So pretty nasty severe weather. So we'll continue to watch that. So this tornado warning continues for Hoke and Cumberland County, as well as Moore in Harnett County until 4:15 p.m. And again, the rotation is just north of Highway 401. This is moving through a pretty rural area of Hoke County and Cumberland County, but Spring Lake community, as well as Fort Bragg, you are under the gun. So you need to be in your storm shelter as this cell continues to move into your area. So sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. Looking at our weather chat here again, no reports of damage or anything. So that's a good sign. We like to hear that. I'm going to punch up Twitter here while you're continuing to look at the radar feed, see if I can see anything here on Twitter, anything that's being reported. Again, I don't see anything. Don't see any reports. Just quickly, briefly looking through Twitter. But again, Fort Bragg, again, you need to be in your storm shelter now as this tornado warning continues to move towards your area. So again, Fort Bragg, that's a major military institute. So a lot of people on probably on campus there. So I'm sure the warning sirens and alerts are going out, but definitely if you know anybody in that area, you need to be in your safe place. Spring Lake, also another great another place that needs to be keeping their eye on this storm cell as this tornadic cell continues to move to the north around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So again, where do you go? You want to go to the lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, that's great. If not, you want to be at the lowest level. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to have some sort of protection for your head, preferably a helmet. But if you don't have one of those, a big thick blanket, a mattress, something like that would just keep your head protected if there were to be any flying debris. You also want to put some sort of protection over your eyes, maybe some goggles or glasses or something like that. That way, if there is any debris flying through the air, your eyes would not be impacted by that. And if we were to have a tornado and you had to um, walk outside, you want to have some sort of sturdy shoes on to keep your feet from getting injured. So again, these are just some suggestions that we highly recommend that you do if you are in this tornado warning polygon. And again, over a lot of rural area, but there's still some people that live there. So you definitely need to be on guard and in shelter if you find yourself in this polygon. Again, a lot of lightning taking place. Spring Lake, this cell looks to remain just off to your west, but you're still in that polygon, so you still definitely need to be in your storm shelter as the storm continues to move off to the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. The couplet doesn't look as impressive as it did earlier. That doesn't mean that there's not a tornado there or this storm's not cycling, because it definitely could. So you want to remain on guard if you find yourself in this polygon. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a marginal risk of severe weather in this area of North Carolina, South Carolina. So we could see another isolated tornado or severe thunderstorm continue in this area for the next little bit. As I scroll out, you can kind of see there's some flood advisories, river flood warnings, flash flood warning just off to the west over Anson and Richmond, Montgomery, and Stanley counties. Also another area flood advisory and some flood warnings up in Cabarrus County and Rowan County. So a lot of rain has fallen over the last several days, where we've seen some flash flooding. We've had some severe thunderstorm warnings today. We've had a few tornado warnings. This is the second tornado warning. The first one was over Onslow County, probably about an hour and a half ago. But again, this is the only tornado warning right now, and this is going to be moving towards Fort Bragg around 4:15. So if you live in Fort Bragg, you have another 10 minutes or so before this storm moves into your area. But that doesn't mean you take 10 minutes to seek shelter. You go ahead and get in your safe place right now. Hunker down as the storm cell continues to move to the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Again, the couplet doesn't look as defined. Rotation couplet doesn't look as defined, but again, doesn't mean that there's not a tornado wrapped up in there. So just be mindful of that. Let's look at our rotation signature. Yeah, it's not as defined. It's a little bit lower on the scales. So that just kind of shows us there's a little bit of weakening in this storm cell. But again, if you're in this warning, you need to be seeking shelter. Again, this is going to be wrapped up in rain. You can see there's no really definitive hook. There's no dry slotting that you'd be visually able to see if there was a tornado on the ground. This would be rain wrapped as it's in this embedded itself in this thunderstorm. So you're visually not going to see anything. So don't go to try out and look out your door and see if you can see anything. It's just going to be wrapped up in this big old curtain of rainfall. You can see the lightning that continues to show the storm is strengthening or is continue to be strong as we see this lightning off to the north of the circulation. But again, here's the kind of the circulation, the couplet, not as intense as it was several frames ago, as it was just north of Rayford. So again, if you live along the Cumberland and the Hoke County lines, you need to be in your safe place, as well as Harnett County as well. There's kind of all these counties kind of coexist together right here at these points, and that's where this rotation continues to move. So this tornado warning continues for another 12 minutes or so as it continues to move off to the north near Fort Bragg, around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Looking at our NWS chat with the National Weather Service in Raleigh. Again, no confirmation of any damage. No confirmation of anybody seeing a tornado. It's pretty quiet in the chat, so hopefully that's a good sign. And there's no damage being reported or nothing that's happened. Again, it's over a very rural area. A lot of farming that takes place out in this area, but there are still some homes out there. People still live out there. So if you do find yourself in this polygon, you need to be in your safe place. So rotation would be right in this area, but again, it doesn't look as impressive as it did, let's say, about 10-15 minutes ago. So that's a good sign. Hopefully this cell will continue to weaken as it moves to the northeast. Scrolling out here, kind of give you a wide perspective. Let's go over here to our reflectivity. You kind of see some batches of rain off over Anson and Union County. We have this embedded supercell over Hoke and Cumberland County, portions of Harnett. And then we have some more storms back over South Carolina near Berkeley, Georgetown, Horry, and Marion County that we'll continue to watch. And then we have some storm cells over the Wilmington area that we will continue to watch as well. So, excuse me. So a lot of active weather taking place. Still more cells moving on to the coastal parts of North Carolina. So we'll continue to watch those. So a few of those have been able to rotate as well. But again, a lot of flood advisories, a lot of flood warnings out there, some flash flood warnings. But right now, the only tornado warning is going to be outside of Fayetteville, moving towards Fort Bragg, just outside of Spring Lake. So you can kind of see, here's the inflow. You can kind of see this bowing segment. So the inflow would be right here. Let's go over to our velocities, kind of like where this lightning bolt is, where we would see the rotation, but it looks to be pretty broad. So we are waiting word to see what the Weather Service out of Raleigh is going to do with this tornado warning. It has another 10 minutes or so before it would be expired or be able to be extended. So again, if you live near Fort Bragg, you want to be in your safe place as this storm continues to move towards your area. I'm sure with the military there's probably a lot of alerts going out, some tornado sirens going out as this cell continues to move. And you can see, as we put it in motion, it's continuing to track to the north, maybe a little bit to the northwest, which is interesting. But again, you can kind of see the polygon shift a little bit to the northwest as this cell continues to move. But again, the rotation not looking as strong as it did earlier. So hopefully we will be able to allow this tornado warning to expire in the next little bit. Looking at our correlation coefficient, looking for any drops. There's a little bit of a drop right here, but that could just be some bad data. But we don't, we'll see. Still no reports coming out of the Weather Service. So that's a good sign there. Normally by now we'd start to be hearing about some damage reports. So nothing yet, but we will continue to monitor this tornado warning as it continues for the next handful of minutes. So 4:15 for eastern central Moore County, southwestern Harnett, northwestern Cumberland, and northeastern Hoke counties. Again, this tornado warning goes until 4:15 p.m. So that is going to bring this storm very close to Fort Bragg here in the next few minutes. So hopefully everyone is in their safe place right now as this storm continues to move in that direction. Again, Spring Lake, you were in this warning, but I feel like the cell's going to stay off to your west by just a little bit. So hopefully that's some good news. Fayetteville, you are not in this warning. So I know Fayetteville, another big populated area for North Carolina. This warning is just off to your northwest. Rayford, another populated area. You are outside of this tornado warning now, so that's some good news as the cell continues to move off to the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So again, no reports coming in of, at least via the Weather Service, of any damage. I'm going to look through Twitter here while we continue to talk, see if I can see anything that's being tweeted out about any damage down in that area of Hoke and towards Cumberland County. Again, I'm not seeing anything right off the bat, so that's good news. We like to hear that, so hopefully it will remain that way. Looking over some of the reports again, we have a report out of Columbus County in North Carolina. So Columbus County is just going to be a couple of counties over from this tornado warning. Columbus County is going to be, where'd it go? There it is. Here's Columbus County. So Columbus County near Wyville, we have water was 20 plus inches over the roadway after filling a 4-foot ditch. So again, near the Delco community here in Columbus County, near Lake Waccamaw. So that is some more reports of flooding coming out of that area. Looks like we're going to continue to monitor this tornado warning for the next few minutes as this cell continues to move to the north into Cumberland and Harnett County. Again, Rayford, you are out of this. Fayetteville, you're out of this warning. Spring Lake, you are still technically in the polygon. Fort Bragg, you as well are in this polygon, so you need to be in your safe place as this tornado warning storm continues to move into your area. So hopefully you are in your safe place. And where is that? You want to be in the lowest level of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And you want to have some sort of protection over your head, goggles, things like that. Looks like the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. So the rotation no longer indicative to maintain this tornado warning. As you can see, it has the rotation has kind of dissipated. So you can kind of see the loop here. Here's the rotation. It's moving off, moving more closer to Southern Pines and Whispering Pines. So we will see if there's any damage that comes out of this area, but at least the tornado warning has now been allowed to expire for Harnett County. So that's good. Hopefully there was no damage in that area. And we will continue to monitor this. Again, flash flooding, the biggest story over the North and South Carolina areas. We do have some flash flood warnings ongoing in Anson, Richmond, Montgomery, and Stanley counties. All these little highlighted areas, these are all flood warnings, aerial flood advisories, river flood warnings. You can kind of see this one highlighting the Catawba River. This is going to be for the Lake James area. This would be Lake Roadhiss, Lake Hickory, Oxford Dam, and then eventually through Lake Norman down into Mountain Island Lake. So that's the Catawba River chain, all under flood advisories. We have this flood warning for the French Broad River in Cleveland County into northern Cherokee. Here's the French Broad River near Buncombe, Henderson counties. So all kinds of aerial flood warnings and advisories for all the rain, but this tornado warning has expired. So with that is good news. We're glad that the rotation has been able to weaken. So hopefully we'll continue to see these storms continue to weaken and we don't see the rotation with this. So again, this tornado warning has been able to expire before 4:15 for Hoke and Cumberland counties. So those areas, you are good to go now. And this tornado warning has expired. So with that, we're going to go back to our live stream coverage. Continue watching. We'll continue to scroll any watches or warnings or advisories on the page, as well as forecasts and some webcams to kind of let you see what's going on in the Carolinas. For the Carolina Weather Group, I'm Scotty Powell. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
I was using deployable instruments. I come from a background at Texas Tech where we built a lot of deployable weather instruments. So I took that and applied it to hail. So we have a network of about 18 impact sensors that can measure the impact energy of hail, and we can actually deploy them ahead of a thunderstorm and look at what the size distribution is within that particular storm and how it varies and changes within the swath. That's really, really important for how we look at radar hail detection, even looking into how numerical weather prediction manages hail.
And how did it go this year?
Oh, two good missions for us. Spent about I think we spent about 12 days total in the field. Ended up, my target was somewhere, I think 5 to 7 total cases. I think we were right there at 7, which was really, really good for us. So yeah, that's usually the case. We spend about somewhere 10 to 14 days each year in the field. And we'll continue this going into 2020.
Yeah, and talk about some of the more memorable cases that you guys have covered, maybe some of the more interesting field tests that you guys have done over the past couple of years. Yeah,
for hail, a couple of years ago, intercepted a supercell near Eric, Oklahoma, that produced just this really narrow swath of just really big 3-inch hail with a concentration maybe 10 to 12 or so per square foot. That's a lot for big hail. It was the first time we got our instruments into hail that size, so that was kind of a unique experience for us. Now, a memorable case, and this goes back all the way back to I think 2013 or 2014 when we were doing a lot of those crush tests. We encountered some hail. This was in Montana. What we kind of think of as low density spongy type hail, that when you crushed it, it actually deformed almost like a sponge, but held its shape. It actually didn't fracture. And there's some literature out there that talks about how these hailstones can come about, but talk about kind of blow your mind of how complicated hail can be. That the fact you could get this spongy kind of hail that you could compress, it basically just did that and then held its shape even after you took the load off of it. It never broke. I'm guessing those are rare. We haven't seen that again. It was one particular case, and I don't know what kind of environment might produce that, but it's really unique, and it's always been a memorable one from looking at hailstones. And I've seen a fair bit of them.
We got a hail threat, right? So how do we tell businesses and homeowners how to better protect their property?
One of the things you can do, make sure you can get your car in your garage if you have one. If you're like me, you got all sorts of stuff in the garage. I couldn't get my truck in there if I tried. But that's a step you can take, is make sure you can get your car under cover. And maybe, say we're under a higher risk for a particular day. If you can find a way to keep that vehicle covered, that's one way to reduce your auto damage. Now for homes, it's a lot trickier. If you're in an area that sees a lot of hailstorms, think about the folks in Tornado Alley. If you live in Dallas, Oklahoma City, Wichita, we saw how sick of people were of hail in Dallas this year by their putting pool noodles on cars and inflatable mattresses. And I'm sure they're tired of getting new roofs every 2 years. So I'd encourage people to look at our impact rated shingle test results and look for those good performing products. There are impact rated shingles that do perform, and we tested up to 2-inch, and those top performers really do perform very well. So there are products out there from a roof perspective that I would encourage homeowners to look at, and talk to your insurance agent too, because in a lot of cases you can get a discount for some of these things.
You own a business, you have a building, you have roof, you have items up on the roof, you have your HVAC units, you have satellite dish. I mean, whatever instrumentation you have up there, is there anything we can tell business owners?
For HVAC, that's a very good point, because there are some shields that can be made that actually surround HVAC units that, from what we've been able to tell, looking at their performance, they do a decent job. And HVAC, just the damage to the fins and coils in an HVAC system can be very, very expensive. So there are a few steps you can take if you're a business owner there.
You guys are located here in the Carolinas, and many folks may not know that. How did you guys choose the Carolinas?
The lab came about in the Carolinas. There was kind of a little bit of a bidding process, and this is before my time at IBHS. We wanted to be away from the immediate hurricane coastline. That's having a facility like that could damage by a significant hurricane was a concern for our membership. So that's one reason why we're a fair bit away from the coast. We had a power requirement, and we wanted to be within a certain distance, basically an hour's drive from a hub airport. So what was settled on was essentially kind of the general Charlotte area. And we had two sites that were the original ones. One was closer to Gastonia just across the South Carolina border up on I-85. And then there's the site that we currently had. And we ended up with really, really nice package from the community down here in Chester County. Our plot size was a lot larger. We did have some noise concerns, so that also played a role. And they had the power requirements they need. We're right next to a transmission line, and we had a substation on site. So 105 electric medium voltage drives power the fans, and we need some juice. So it all came to fruition, and there we are out in Chester County.
And so talk about, you were talking about hurricanes. Talk about some of the wind studies that you guys do there. You have this big wind tunnel, and you actually have some model scale homes, and you can do all kind of testing in this facility.
A very unique thing about our facilities is that we can do full-scale home testing. We can look at a full home system, and that's really important from a wind perspective to understand how the wind forces are essentially transferred through all the different connections that are within your home, roof to wall, through the walls, wall to foundation, and all the connections in between. You have to really look at it in a system perspective to understand how wind essentially attacks structures and what you can do to mitigate it. So we do a bit looking at garage door vulnerabilities. I was seeing that garage doors can be a huge damage amplifier. Think about it, they're a big hole, really, if they fail in your house. That allows wind to get in and start acting inward, pushing up and out, and can lead to failures. Once you start the damage cascade, it just goes. Tornadoes, it happens very, very fast. Hurricanes, it can happen over the course of, say, 6 to 12 hours. But that cascade is what we're trying to stop the start of that. And we think we can find those mitigation solutions that are not only useful, but also affordable too.
So before we kind of wrap up the interview, can you tell us a little bit about how you forecast and how you decide where you're going during your field studies?
Yeah, the logistics are actually a fair bit challenging. So we are a good distance away from essentially what is Tornado Alley or the Great Plains. We like it out there, good road networks, good visibility, although we are going to try to explore some southeast hail. There's some environmental questions that we have that I think we're going to try to tackle that. So we basically have to rely on medium range forecasting. So we're looking for just general pattern support for severe weather. So is the Gulf of Mexico open? Is there good moisture transport northward? Maybe not necessarily if there's a trough, but is there just generally enough flow aloft to support supercells? Sometimes you didn't have the surface features underneath the best flow aloft. It kind of became a day-to-day, almost a mesoscale type forecasting scenario, which is very hard for us in terms of when we pull the trigger. So we work our teams on about a 48-hour leave or 48-hour kind of go, no-go scenario. Using DFS output, Bureau output, try to get our best feel that we're going to get at least 3 operation days out of a mission. We got to have some kind of confidence that we're at least going to get 3. It's just not worth shipping equipment out and bringing the team to the field. So, okay, say we give a go. We actually ship 5 big Pelican cases of equipment. FedEx is fantastic. Out to some target cities, and it's usually where we can store equipment. So Norman, Oklahoma at the National Weather Center, have lots of colleagues there. We've used my wife's grandma's garage in Wichita to store all the cases and equipment. So we do that, pick our target city, fly in. We use rental vehicles. We do try to stay out of the hail as much as we're researching hail, and we've done a pretty good job of that. And we outfit them, get our instruments ready, take all the equipment we need, leave the cases behind, and off we go. And usually each mission is about 7 days. So there's some logistical challenges there, given our distance, but we've managed it quite well over the years.
When you're renting the car, do you have to kind of stay quiet about what you're really doing with the car?
was one hail. We were out in the field for a hail event in Cheyenne, and the Port rental car dealership at the Denver airport. They were dealing with a whole bunch of people who were bringing back hail damaged cars, and I kept thinking in my head, I'm like, we're running a hail research project, and we got perfectly fine vans here. But yeah, for us, it's a safety concern to stay out of the hail, and we do a good job of that.
You're talking about these instruments. Can you kind of give us an idea of what's on these instruments? What it's like?
Yeah, certainly. They're on little tripods. They're basically little engineering tripods. And the plate itself is a little small pyramid. It's 1 foot by 1 foot. And it's actually based on a design that was developed at NASA, Kennedy Space Center, and was published in the literature. So we use that same plate design. It's got a little acoustic sensor, a piezoelectric disc that can record the vibration of the plate. So the higher the signal amplitude of that vibration, the larger the kinetic energy of the hailstone that hit the plate. And then we can work backwards to estimate a size. The unique thing about ours, we actually use robotics microcontrollers as our data system. We use an Arduino Do. It's about $35.